Welcome to Two Bitches in a Broom podcast. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode as we dive into the topic of shadow people. I think that's just a pretty common term that's been slang around all over the place.
Dum dum.
Dun dun dun, shadow people, stay away. So let's we're gonna talk about what shadow people are, defining that, the your own discernment, and kind of what's going on. And I feel like I've noticed this topic come up quite a bit, especially with the veil, as we've talked about before, the veil thinning out,
Yeah.
and more people are becoming that are not in the metaphysical world becoming more becoming awake and seeing more. And um, heck, I even think, especially now, so since we did this timeline, this jump this past week, was it
Yeah.
last weekend?
Yeah.
This past jump. So I feel like this is a good time to insert this topic and clarify some things for everyone.
Yep.
So we don't run around here thinking everything is a big scary thing. Let's say that.
It's a little bit scary.
A little bit scary.
I'm trying to turn this up. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Okay. All right. So you want to lead the way in the topic discussion and kind of define shadow people to begin with?
Okay. Um, so shadow people are often that term, they're described as like this dark shadow figure that appears. Usually it's being stated that it appears at the edge of the peripheral vision
Mm-hmm.
and it completely vanishes when the person observing it looks directly at that figure. Um, there are numerous theories regarding their existence. They are rooted in different cultural, psychological, and metaphysical frameworks. So, is
Yeah,
that a good description?
that's excellent.
Okay.
But I feel like, it's good to start to bring up this topic and to clarify it, because from what I've witnessed is there's a lot of fear based things being generated from this. And I know those in, well, as to my extent of experience and knowledge, to those in the metaphysical community, sensitive to energy, have that's kind of like the beginning stages of your sight opening, your
Absolutely.
third eye, right?
Absolutely.
And there's tons of stories of experiences of individuals who are sensitive to energy who have that, myself included. You see a lot in your peripheral, and it is a shadow figure. And the minute you pay attention to it or try to look at it, like vanishes.
Yeah.
But I think it's being misconstrued, and discernment, in my opinion,
Mhm.
is not being accounted for, with it becoming like more mass abundance, I guess you would say.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of people, they say, "Oh, I'm not clairvoyant." And they cannot identify themselves as being clairvoyant. And if you have never experienced it, you're not going to know that. Um, and with clairvoyance, it's like with all of our clairs, actually, it's like an onion. There's layers of
Hmm.
clairvoyance. And you will get deeper and deeper and more and be able to visually see more and more and more as you expand on that ability. The very first onion layer in this metaphor of clairvoyance would be you're going to start to see shadows. You're not going to get features. You're not going to get colors. It's very, very, very common. There are people who are clairvoyant that know that they're clairvoyant, who are actually seeing features and still have the sepia where there's no color,
Right, right.
because that's another layer of that clairvoyance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it could be, and I've said this in lectures before, it could be Aunt Sue, you know, and you're thinking it's this horrible, awful, maniacal kind of energy. And Aunt Sue is just like, you were saying you were having a bad day. I showed up to give you encouragement. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So, there is that. There really is that. And I think that if, you know, the spiritual community talked about this more, and they talked about how clairvoyance does develop, we could calm a lot of that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one thing, like my team, my guides have been saying probably for 9 months or more, that we have to cut the fear out. We have to cut
Right.
the fear out. With every time you experience fear, you're dropping your vibration. You're just really going to be in that trash energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think knowledge is power, and with this knowledge, you can have clear discernment of what you truly are experiencing, but you have to kind of set the fear aside and go, okay, how is my body responding? What am I feeling in this moment? You know?
Right. Yeah. See, and I think that's the thing that is being forgotten with all of these now public you know, with these people that are going public with their experiences. And everyone is, as far as I've seen, because this has been coming up in my awareness, this topic, for
Mhm.
probably a good 2 or 3 weeks now, of people expressing their stories. And it's always jumping straight to, oh my gosh, it's a demon, it's an entity, it's this. And I'm like, one, no. Two, you have your own discernment. And I think this is why I know myself, and I'm pretty confident to speak for you on this too. We are very uh, straightforward on the importance of developing your own inner compass and communing with your team. I always sound like an advocate for spirit guides, but constantly communing with your team and building that relationship, because when you do have these experiences, as I feel like more and more people in the metaphysical community and outside of it will be having and experiencing, you can pause and,
Mhm.
like Charlie said, put your fear to the side and analyze the situation.
Yeah,
Tune into yourself. This is why we're so big on, you have to know thyself. You
absolutely.
have to know how you respond. Your
Absolutely.
body is your first alarm system.
It is. It is. And the body will never lie to you. The mind can play tricks. The body never
Mm-hmm.
lies. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The
Mm-hmm.
mind can play so many tricks on us, but the body is not going to lie. The body is going to be so glaringly apparent to you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so another very prominent theory of shadow people um, is that they are interdimensional beings. It suggests that they exist in a parallel dimension and it will overlap our own. Um, this idea is very specifically drawn upon in quantum physics with their principles that is called the many worlds interpretation. So I'm a nerd. I know I am, and that's cool.
Mhm.
But for people who don't understand the many worlds interpretation in quantum mechanics, it's actually pretty fascinating. And it's highly debated. Let me make that very, very clear.
Yes. Yeah.
It
It's a
seeks,
hot topic.
yeah, I know. It seeks to explain the peculiarities within quantum phenomena. Okay. So Hugh Everett, in 1957, he's the one that came up with this theory. That's a long
Mhm.
time. He says that all these possible outcomes of quantum measurements actually occur, but separately. Okay. Non communicating branches of the universe. So that interpretation fundamentally challenges our classical understanding of reality by suggesting that the universe is splitting constantly into this vast potential of infinite number of parallel universes.
Mhm.
So, at the core of this many worlds interpretation, the concept of quantum wave function describes all the probabilities of the possible states of the system. So, what does that mean in layman's terms? Right now, Krys is sitting here and she's saying, in this life, you know what? I'm going to do this podcast and I'm going to help all these people and bring information to them. There's another Krys in another world that is like, yeah, I'm not doing the podcast today. I'm going to plant flowers. And there's another Krys that is also, I don't know, she's out touring or something. We're just throwing that out there.
Mhm. Mhm.
So Krys is experiencing this life in every facet possible in different levels. Okay. There's also a Krys that's homeless in a box somewhere, right?
Mhm.
And again, I'm just throwing that out there. But she's living this life to the fullest capacity so she can gain all the information, all the knowledge, everything for the higher self to carry with her throughout her life so she can achieve her soul's purpose, right? And that's where that theory comes from. It is something that is widely accepted and celebrated within spiritual communities. As long, and I've been practicing for over 30 years. So as
Mhm.
long as I've been alive, um, and doing this work, it has been celebrated and understood to be true. I think one of the most compelling aspects of the many worlds theory is the ability to provide this framework for quantum mechanics. It just does. It provides the framework. There's no way, I'd love to debate this because there's no way. I mean, if you're saying this doesn't exist, then we have to rethink the string theory. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
So
right.
yeah,
But I feel like too, when we get into that particular topic, also, I think that's also folds in rethinking and structuring our understanding of past lives.
yeah,
If we are already one spirit, one soul, having a multitude of experiences across the
absolutely.
universe, multidimensional, then where is the function and purpose? Or is there such thing as a past life
Yeah,
if we're already experiencing it in the present, no matter which timeline we are in?
absolutely. And that actually affirms the many worlds theory.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So the shadow appearance of these beings are thought to be a result of their partial presence in our dimension, which makes them appear less tangible, more shadow like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's actually a book called The Holographic Universe. It's by Michael Talbot. And he really goes into the idea of multiple dimensions. So anybody who wants to like look into this more, I just thought I'd throw that resource out
Yeah.
there. So I'm not just blowing smoke. You know what I mean? Yeah,
But it is fascinating when, I mean, you and I both look at everything as
sure.
interesting, and but it is really fascinating to entertain various ideas or perspectives or theories of existence. I think, we I don't know, me personally, I just take everything with a grain of salt,
Yeah, yeah,
because at the end of the day, you're still this version
yeah.
having to live this life and walk this path. Um, but
I think if
I
we don't
feel
open to ourselves up to like that's interesting and possible, then we're
right.
being very close-minded.
Oh
You know?
yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
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 it is. You're not even allowing the space for a possibility of anything else, right?
right.
And we all know how far closed-mindedness gets us
Yeah,
and developing,
yeah.
But yeah, I think, still above all else, even if it is for shits and giggles, an interdimensional glitch
Mhm.
by chance, your vibration and your frequency where you are in the here and now still matters. So if it is that, and you're dropping into that fear instantly and accepting a storyline of, it's an evil entity, um, that's not going to help you in the here and the now.
Nope,
It's not going to do you any favors.
nope.
Not at all.
And I mean, if we really want to look at spiritual and occult um explanations, um, they're in different cultures. Let's use Native American because that's the one I'm most familiar with. Native American tribes believe that shadow people are spirits of the dead who haven't found peace. And that is what we refer to in shamanism as earthbound spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That just means that they have died, they haven't crossed over, and they're kind of wandering around here. Okay. I think in Western cultures, people consider them to be more scary. I know that that
Mm-hmm.
sounds uh, ironic, but there's two things in my mind when it comes to social media, um, fear and sex. Everybody wants to watch, right? I mean,
Yeah.
pay an
Mm-hmm.
enormous amount of movie to get the shit scared out of us when we go to the movie theater or when we're riding a roller coaster, when we're going to, especially Halloween, all those, what do they call those ghost houses?
The yeah.
Haunted
The
houses.
haunted houses.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I call them ghost houses.
Ghost houses.
the the haunted houses. I mean, that's what people
Yeah.
they're in.
Adrenaline junkie
Yeah, there's
humanity.
like this thing that comes along with it, and we are jumping on the they must be ghosts or demons. There's so much trauma in our Western culture. We kind of embrace that thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I do not agree with those interpretations. Um, I just don't. That is because I know a lot of people in the paranormal community. I know a lot of paranormal investigators. Um, and they will laugh and chuckle at a lot of things that are written on Reddit when it comes to experience,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, like everyday people, they'll say, this always happens when I'm alone. This all, I experience these shadow people when I'm alone. I experience these shadow people when no rhyme or reason, I'm just doing absolutely nothing. Well, that kind of supports what Chris was saying, because when you are able to access your clairs, what are you doing? You have to be very silent, very still, very quiet so you can gain that information. So it's kind of supporting that theory. I'm just saying, because
Mm-hmm.
the evidence that they're providing suggests that their clairs are being accessed.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, I think too, when these things happen when you're alone, well, you're a lot less distracted with others around you when you are obviously alone.
Mhm.
And I also think, of, well, wouldn't it be possible that this energy was already there
Mhm.
for however long of time that it was there? You're only becoming aware of it because you are now alone or a lot less distracted, or your clairs opening up, whatever the case may be. I
Yeah.
feel like we tend to forget that oftentimes it's not where it just sprang up just right now. No, your awareness just sprang up right now, but the energy was already in existence.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, you know, I think the most important thing that I personally would like people to take away from this particular podcast is um how to identify what
Mm-hmm.
you are experiencing. I think that's super important. Um take the fear out, like I said earlier, take the fear out and let's go into observer mode. Let our
Mm-hmm.
body tell us what it's experiencing. So I thought it would be kind of cool to
Mm-hmm.
talk about that a little bit, if
Yes.
that's okay.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Um so number one, consider the feeling, the energy that you're sensing when you are encountering this shadow. Okay. Number one, deceased loved ones, they carry a very familiar, comforting energy. If the presence of that shadow person is giving like warmth, if you're feeling like something's there, but you don't know what it is, that can evoke fear. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to go, oh, how interesting. I'm observing something here. What is that? And allow your body to tell you, you
Mm-hmm.
know, are you feeling like you want to flee the room? Because if you don't want to flee the room, trust me, it's a loved one. Okay.
Right.
It's a loved one. Okay. Reflect on any characteristics, any habits, anything that's like going through your mind, feelings that you're observing, because that particular spirit is trying to tell you something or be there for a comforting measure.
Mm-hmm.
um Earthbound souls that haven't crossed over have a completely different kind of energy.
Yes.
They are going to feel very restless, very confused, very agitated, are the words that I'm going to elicit with that. When you have a loved one nearby, it's going to feel very light, light. It's going to feel light. You're, for me, I can only speak for me, but for me in particular, I can feel my heart chakra expand when they're around. When an earthbound is nearby, nope, totally different. Totally different. I will have goosebumps. I will have my hair on my arms literally stand. Um, that's how my body sends me the signal that this is an earthbound. I don't know if everybody does that. I know that's how
Mm-hmm.
I respond personally to it.
Yeah.
But earthbounds, I please go back in our playlist, watch what we have talked about earthbounds. They're not there to harm, hurt, they're not malicious. They're here. Oftentimes they're trying to figure out how they get out of here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes if they are there before you, they're wondering what the hell you're doing in their house or their
Mm-hmm.
space, you know.
Right.
And if you are choosing to engage in communication with that shadow person, that can also provide clarity. It really can. Ask very specific questions. Trust your instincts regarding that response. Take the fear
Mm-hmm.
out and trust what your body is telling you. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it could be a loved one who's trying to give you a message of love, guidance, support, um, earthbound souls. It's going to feel so confusing. It's going to be so fear. You're going to want to leave the room. You know,
Right.
that's literally your fight or flight kind of
Right.
thing happens. But remain calm, remain composed, ground yourself by taking deep breaths, center that energy. Fear can amplify their presence. So maintaining a calm demeanor can actually mitigate any encounters, establish
Mm-hmm.
very firm boundaries. Okay. Assert your state, your boundaries. You're not welcome here, leave this space immediately. Um, the power of intention and spoken word is so highly effective, so highly effective.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
if it's your, Aunt Sue and you're like, leave here, I don't want you here, that's kind of shitty, right? So make sure that fear isn't telling you that it's something horrible when really it's Aunt Sue. Okay.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, like even there's a difference between body tingles and spikes, is just what I refer to it as.
Such a
So
good point. Yeah.
yeah, you get tingles, and you're going to know the difference, when Charlie speaks of, your hair standing up on end, like your hackles
Yeah.
go up.
Yeah.
And your hackles aren't going to go up when it's a loved one in spirit present. If
Yeah.
it's a guide, if it's an angel, if
Yeah.
it's whatever, you know, part of your team, even though you're perceiving it as a shadow figure,
Hmm.
you're not going to get hackles with that kind of energy
Nope.
because it is higher in frequency and vibration.
Yeah.
And when it is a earthbound energy or any energy not of the light, or crossed, then you come into the experience of the hackles when the hair stands up on your arms, or that the hair stands up on the back of your neck, and you get, at least for me, like I can feel the energy of the room take a dump.
Yeah.
So everything just feels to like be sucked down.
Yep.
Um, and then, you know, also noticing um, little things around the house kind of like clumsy a little bit more,
Hmm.
dropping things, stuff like it's just off. The energy is off.
Hmm.
So, I know I'm a big feeler in that sensitivity to energy. And that's for myself an experience. That's how I perceive when it is not of the light of the light. You're
Yeah.
not going to get you're not going to get that dump of energy if it's of the light. Like Charlie said, it's higher, it's more, you're going to feel yourself expand, you're going to feel the familiarity even though you don't understand it. But when it's not, yeah, that, because you have to, if you look back in our previous episode about earthbounds, they have to source their energy from somewhere.
Absolutely.
And man, do you look like a mighty good meal
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
siphon off of, So
Yeah.
your energy is going to go down
Hmm.
because of the presence of that. So again, like discernment, that I like to call it like the breath of assessment, like, things happen and you're like, but pause, observe, student seat, breath of assessment. And I'm really big on commanding your space with confidence. So
Yeah.
this is your space,
Yeah.
nobody else's. you know, so own it.
And if you are feeling, that this is an earthbound spirit and you have went through all the steps, you've commanded your space, you no longer feel that presence, clear your space, clear it,
Hmm.
smudge, burn some incense, use some crystals,
Hmm.
purify your environment, restore tranquility, you know. Don't just go, okay, they're gone and everything's no, your environment is shitty if they're there. So you need to
Right.
clean that up. You need to clean that up. Um, I think knowledge and preparation are your best allies with dealing
Hmm.
with the unknown. And that's the whole point why we do this, is to hope to shed some light on different areas that the spiritual community may not um, talk about.
Right.
They
Think of
may
it as,
not discuss
yeah,
enough for us. You know what I mean?
right. And it's just too, I feel like this is happening more also with just more people walking away from organized religion
Oh yeah.
and seeking a deeper understanding or a connection to something,
Hmm.
they're not, I don't know about you, but I've seen quite a bit of this unsubscribing from uh, organized religions, various sects, and still wanting to belong, but not sure how or
Yes.
where.
Yeah.
Having these kinds of these awakening experiences, and it's a fantastic. Well, maybe personal opinion. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. You get to understand your own uh, divine consciousness from within and all of that good stuff. But you know utilize your discernment. Your body is your power source, I feel like. And you know eh, don't let the fear overtake you. I guess that's the best thing I could say for
Yeah.
people going through this. Don't feed into it.
Yeah. I mean,
Don't feed into it.
we've said this like so many times, Chris, on the show, but like I've been doing this for a long, long, long time. And I have literally, when I first started out, what sticks in my mind, the biggest thing that sticks out to my mind, and she was probably like my third or fourth case, right? And I come to the house, and I mean, I was basing the visit off of, you know, what she personally was experiencing. And she, really felt like she was at her wit's end to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
came there, and this ghostly noise that she kept experiencing, that was sending chills up her spine, and all of these physical responses she was reporting, it was literally her vent from her furnace that was making that noise. And it was because there is like a little chute, I don't know the proper terminology, but it allows air to either go to the main floor or the upstairs floor. And so when
Mm-hmm.
wind is being pushed up against it and that is closed, it made this sound.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the ghostly presence. So keep in mind, we also have to use like our left brain and go, okay, what is happening? What are we experiencing? Is there a real um response?
Right. Yeah.
Am I feeding into um what's been propagated into social media? Am I allowing that to convince me of something that really
Mm-hmm.
isn't? But if you're truly experiencing, if you truly are like, hey, I'm not hallucinating, right? I
Mm-hmm.
am experiencing this. Stop, take a breath, pause, balance, ground, do all of the things, and then feel your body. How is my body responding?
Yep.
And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because I know how challenging it's going to be to take fear, put it aside, and say, breathe, balance, ground.
Mhm.
Okay, what am I experiencing? And I promise you can do all of that in like 2 minutes. Okay.
Right.
So do that. What is my body experiencing? I have a relative that has passed on that visits me very, very, very frequently. And I always get chills from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet every single time. Every single time that his presence is here. That's how my body responds to him. I feel my heart expand. And he's crossed over. He's great. It's all good in the
Mhm.
hood. But if somebody else was experiencing that that never had, that would probably be fearful, right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to put the fear aside. And I swear to you, I think this world, everybody, we're, literally awakening as a people.
Mhm.
I am not surprised that people's clairs are opening. I'm not. I'm
Right.
excited. I'm like, hell yeah, bring it. It's about time.
Yeah, I mean, especially with this timeline jump we did, this
Yeah.
shift we did this past week, I think everyone is excited for it and it feels a lot lighter, or some people are still going through kind of the coming out of the fog of the past frequency, that past timeline, and moving into this new one.
Yeah.
But it also comes with the opening and expansion of your energy and your energy sources. And, this is one great thing for people to be reminded of
Mhm.
and keep in mind. And I feel like too, for some, that they may not feel the expansion. You may not be the deepest feeler and feel the expansion, but you're going to know. And
Mhm.
trusting yourself, I think that's a good key point of when you're
Yeah.
doing your assessment. Trust your intuition,
Yeah.
trust what you are experiencing, even if you can be listening to Charlie and think, I don't feel like that biggest expansion, but I just get this knowing. That's
Mhm.
also part of a Claire.
Yeah.
So
That's your
trust in that.
cognizance. Yeah.
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 So your Claire's and spirit communes with us in various ways. There's so many different avenues that they commune and we respond.
Mhm.
Um, so keep that in mind too if you're having these experiences. Um, don't let the fear take you, and trust what you get. Trust that your body will lead the way, and that your knowingness, your feeling, however it comes to you,
Mhm.
trust in that process.
Maybe
So
we should do a series on that of like what that, like your clairs opening,
mm,
the scary aspects.
yeah, that's a good idea.
You know what I mean? Like the scary, because I just feel like a lot of people don't really understand, and it's a
Hmm.
misunderstanding. Nothing
Yeah,
more than
yeah.
misunderstanding. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
I will die on this hill. I firmly believe that 98% of all of these shadows are just spirits. That's it. They're either earthbound or they're your loved one. That's it.
Hmm.
I always leave room for a little percentage of other.
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
I'm not so vain to believe that there isn't other, but that's my experience. Yeah.
Hmm. I agree. And I think too, a really good point with individuals, especially with a lot of fear mongering going around and
Mhm.
jumping to conclusions without a full assessment. Your food for thought for whoever needs to hear this or is experiencing this. If things are moving along in your life and you're progressing and you feel good, your environment feels good, your whatever, you're going about your alignment, and you're feeling great about what's to come and all that stuff. Think about what that's doing to your frequency and your vibration. If you remember, like attracts like.
Yeah.
So if you are, even if you're riding some rough waves right now, but overall you feel like things are moving together or coming together in your life, because I feel like that's happening for a lot of people too.
Hmm.
They're shifting into their desired timelines or whatever. Everybody's working on manifestation, right? Everybody's working on this. So that comes with these higher elevated feelings
Yeah.
overall. Even if like life is a little rocky, you still have this underlying good feeling of things coming, moving pieces and everything else. Why would you think that there would be like evil things or bad things around you if that's going to be like magnets on the opposite thing? It's repulsive because you're moving in your frequency, your vibration is different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I feel like whoever needs to just keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind too. I'm not saying that if life is rough for you right now, oh my gosh, watch out. But I'm just overall, just
Yeah.
bear in mind your internal compass and your feelings of your own environment and existence too. Because that also makes a difference. And I think sometimes I know I've had a couple of clients where I've had to remind, hey, so if, yeah, life may seem a little rocky right now, but you're shifting and you feel overall good, right? Even though things are unknown
Yeah.
and you don't know how it's going to turn out, but you're not feeling like dumpy or anything else underneath all of that. So why would you entertain the thought that it would be something negative? Just
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Yeah. And if you are literally, how many times a day are you saying, oh my gosh, I can't take much more of this? Or how many times are you saying, oh my gosh, I need help or I need guidance? I wish somebody would show me. And then, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm experiencing this shadow. It could be a loved one trying to assist you. Our
right.
ancestors, just so we're perfectly clear, they love helping us. They,
Right. Well, and especially when we're moving into, because I feel like a lot of people, again, everybody's so big on manifestation right now. It's all over the place.
oh, sure.
And moving into your, like I like to say, like your highest and best timeline, right? You're aligning on your path. And spirit on the other side, our guides, our angels, our ancestors, our loved ones, all kind of rally around
Mhm.
to support that ascension and support you on your path in where you're going, right? It's like your whole cheerleading squad on the on the other side,
Yeah.
because you are now, and I feel like as a collective, we're moving into more of the conscious awareness of passion,
Yeah.
of quality.
Hmm.
So we're moving away from this rat race hustle mentality, and we're moving into
Absolutely.
this feeding your soul and your passion and aligning in that way, as i.e. this new world we're moving. However,
Yeah.
everybody has their own terms.
Yeah.
But when that happens, naturally, the entirety of our support system shows up to support that, because they
Absolutely.
want you to move into this way. They want you to get into this higher level and have the best experiences and do all of the things.
Listen, your environment is 99% your environment. If you have good energy flow in your environment, you'll be amazed at how quickly you will shift spiritually. Your environment is 99% of it. I
Mm-hmm.
had my desk in a different area, and every time it rained, I would have problems. I would have problems in my office with the water leakage. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Why is this happening? And I had heard, without lying, probably 2 or 3 times, move your desk, move your desk. And I'm like, there's no place to move my desk. There's literally no place. This is the only place I can move it. And that was because uh those bookshelves are so heavy, like so
Hmm.
heavy. And there's, I don't know if you can see, but there's like 5,000 things on it as well.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, yeah, I can't move that, that just sounds like work. And it's amazing because I finally moved my desk after the last time it got,
Hmm.
and boy, when you know it stopped. When you know it stopped. And the energy flow was completely different in the room. So keep in mind, be very mindful of the energy flow in your environment. What do you have going on in there? Are you
Hmm.
arguing? Are you fighting? Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Are you feeling down? Purge that shit, clear that shit out, you know, use
Absolutely.
whatever incense, um, which is very inexpensive, easily attainable. Grab some sage, clear it out, do all of the things to clear your space out, and then set the energy that you want it to be. What do you want it to
Hmm.
be? Do you want it to be tranquil, calm, peaceful? Do you want it to be uplifting, joyful, abundant? What do you want? What do you want in there? Because if your environment is full of doubt, fear, and worry, don't be surprised if you have energies that visit you that are full of fear and doubt and worry, because they're going to be attracted to it.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
sorry, I
So,
kind of
oh
like
no, we went
Mario
all kind
Karted.
of, I think that's kind of just the theme of anything that we do. It
Yeah,
just starts off one way and then it opens for another thing. And then, oh yeah, then that one. And oh yeah, then that
yeah,
one. And, it all comes out at the end. It all evens out at the end. But
yeah.
I think that's a good spot to leave on.
Okay.
Um, unless there's anything else that you wanted to add
No.
into. Yeah. So, you know, oh, yeah. If you're listening to this or watching this and you're hearing these things, and, we've set it on shadow people in general, but we touched on some other things too
Sure.
of personal development, of clairs, and then even of like attracts like, and then earthbound energy. All of the further information on all of that can be found if you go back and look at our episodes. I think Charlie's pretty good at labeling them
Yeah.
of exactly what they are. So
Mhm.
if you want to go further into any of those topics that we touched on in this one, go look back on our previous episodes. We go deeper into various topics because we kind of went around the block.
No, I kept Mario Karting.
we get we went
Mario.
around the block with everything, and we stopped at a couple of houses along the way.
Yeah.
But just for anybody who's watching or listening to this, if you're interested or something piqued your little spidey antennas, go back and look. We have deeper conversations about every house we stopped at along the way as we went
Yeah.
around the block. So,
And leave us a comment, let us
yes.
know, you know, what are you gaining from this? Is it assisting you? Do y'all want to hear about the future Clairs? Let me know.
Oh
Because
yeah,
at this
yeah.
point, we're kind of winging it. We're just going off of our own instincts, our own guides, and like, okay, this is what we're going
Hmm.
to talk about next.
Yeah. Kind
Um,
of whatever's been coming up in our each of our awarenesses as we've gone through the week is how we formulate.
yeah.
But, absolutely, if there's so much in the metaphysics and the topics and
Um,
experiences that people are having right now. And if there's something that's coming to your experience that you're having a hard time sourcing, let us know because we're happy to talk about anything.
yeah. Yeah.
anything. So, all right. Well, we appreciate your presence and thank you all for joining us, whether you're listening or watching. Like Charlie said, leave us a comment, let us know, share your experiences, topic ideas, or anything that you're seeking that we can assist with, or provide further resources or information. We are always happy to help. until I guess that'll be all. So until next time.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye bye.